What's up everyone? Mikey Bell here with Outdoor Adventure Training. We're back with another follow along workout video. Although this one is not a very intense workout, the primary focus is balance and stability. We're gonna be doing a lot of single leg balancing and we're gonna be utilizing the trusty BOSU ball. If you don't have a BOSU ball and you're considering getting some piece of equipment, highly recommend this as a tool for all outdoor athletes. Incredible for building that foot, lower leg, core stability. Tons and tons of exercises you can do on there. Really just an excellent tool to have in your training repertoire. So this routine is not designed to get you super tired, but rather work on those fundamentals that we often overlook as outdoor athletes. We're working on static and dynamic stabilization. We're going to be using mostly our posterior chain, our foot stabilizers, our calves, our hamstrings, our quads, our core, everything around our pelvis to help stabilize us in these difficult proprioceptive environments. This routine should only take 15 minutes or so this is a nice thing to add before a big workout or after a big workout, just to recalibrate and center the body. It's not always about going as hard as you can go. In fact, you'll probably get far more out of your training if you focus on these slower, controlled balance movements that we're gonna be practicing today. You may want to consider trying this routine barefoot like I'll be demoing today. You can certainly do this with shoes on. If you're used to training in shoes and have never worked out barefoot, ease into that slowly. We can talk more about how to integrate that throughout the workout. But if you're kind of on that barefoot path, I highly recommend experimenting with this routine barefoot. So we'll get into it now, into this BOSU balance routine. Just like with every workout, we are going to start with a bit of a warm-up just to get the joints that we're gonna be using today a little bit ready to go for these dynamic movements. So we're starting off with just some ankle rolls, really simple. You're balancing on one leg, we're gonna switch legs halfway through. Just a little bit of a roll. Trying to really work on that range of motion. You can switch directions. Really just starting to activate those lower stabilizing muscles in the ankle, around the ankle, lower leg, everything below the knee. And notice we are balancing on one leg already. Starting to build that stability. Switch over to the other leg here. So whenever we're balancing on one leg, really try to keep those toes splayed nice and wide, meaning we don't want our big toe to curl under. Start with that nice dynamic balanced position with our toes splayed. Our knees are bent. Sorry, I'm still rolling ankles. We're warming up here. I'm getting excited. Switch directions. Nice. Next up, we have some knee circles. So we're kind of working our way up the body. Just place your hands on the knees. We're trying to trace big circles with the knee. My hands aren't doing anything. They're just kind of there to hold on. But I'm really pushing that external rotation with the left leg, extending, might even get a little hamstring stretch, push over to the other side, external rotators. Nice way to lubricate the joints. I do this almost every morning. Let's switch directions. Really good way to just get that synovial joint fluid moving.
10 seconds left.
The more we move our joints, the better they're gonna feel.
You're done in 3, 2.
All right, walking lunges. I'm gonna just work back and forth here. This is just kind of to warm up the entire body, and we're stabilizing with the lower legs, of course. Pressing off that front leg. A little bit of glute activation here. Don't worry too much about this warm up. We're just trying to kind of get in the right headspace with the warm up, working on our biomechanics, my knees over that second and third toe, stretching out the hip flexors, which we all need more of in our lives. Push off that front leg. So even though this workout isn't really intense necessarily by what we determine is intense, you are going to feel your glutes working in this workout. A lot of posterior chain strength involved with those stabilizing static and dynamic movements. So doesn't mean you won't necessarily get sore from this, but hopefully the the benefit far outweigh the cost. High knee hugs, real simple. Pulling the knee up towards the chest, If you can't grab the shin, you can grab behind the thigh, that's fine too. Notice all of these also integrate a little bit of balance. Balance really is an integral part of training. It's often overlooked and we think, oh, we're getting it, but not always. You know, things like squats and other closed kinetic chain exercises where our feet are grounded, we're not necessarily getting that proprioceptive demand that can really pay dividends in our training. Okay, so we're getting right into it with the balancing. So one leg, just gonna work dynamic stabilization. So what that means is I'm not static. The dynamic movement is going to come from my other limbs. This is a chance for you to get creative. So I might just move my leg through various planes of motion, all while trying to keep that knee in line with my second and third toe. If we start caving, you're gonna find it much more difficult to balance. So externally rotate, splay those toes, maintain that arch. Bring in my limbs. You can mess around with your arms. Right over to the other leg, splaying the toes. Maintain the arch, it's really key. Whether you're wearing shoes or not, we don't want our arch to collapse. Externally rotate. We're still staying grounded through the entire foot, but we're just trying to maintain that arch and that foot strength. Super, super key. Really easy to miss that component. Just getting dynamic here. Should probably start to feel this work in the legs a little bit. I'm feeling it. Had a little climb this morning. My legs are a little fatigued. Shake it out for a minute. Okay, we're gonna start working with our BOSU ball now. For most of the exercises remaining, starting on the flat side, this is a static stabilization. So if you haven't spent a lot of time on the BOSU, starting with one leg in the center, step on with the other, widen your feet out. Okay, so static stabilization, and this might be easy for some folks, but if not, we're literally just holding the static position. If you don't spend a lot of time on the BOSU ball, you might get the wobbles, and that's okay. Do your best, again, to maintain that arch, core engaged, a lot of isometric loading. We certainly have some of that integrated into our videos on YouTube and of course on our remote app. But just keeping that BOSU flat. If you want to make this a little bit more difficult, you can practice closing your eyes. See what that changes. Definitely a little bit more movement there.
10 seconds left.
But even just holding this isometric position, we'll start to feel those glutes, hamstrings, quads working.
We're done in 3, 2,
okay,
1.
Short breaks today. We're not doing much.
Single leg BOSU balance.
Okay, so now we're going single leg on the flat side, all right? If you struggle with balance, grab a wooden dowel, do this next to a wall, that's fine. My foot is centered right on the center of the BOSU. Slight bend in the knee, ankle, hip, static, okay? If you want to get dynamic, and we're gonna get there, so maybe don't integrate that yet, but chances are just holding this for a minute is gonna be difficult for most folks, and that's great. We're trying to get that static isometric loading. Already starting to feel this in the legs. I might regret filming this after getting 3,000 feet of powder skiing this morning, but hey, that's the life of an outdoor adventure trainer. Keeping the knee a little bit bent. If at any point you do fatigue, you don't necessarily need to come out of it, but just like I did there, extending your knee, you're using that skeletal system, which there's nothing wrong with that. But the goal of this workout is to stay loaded and engaged, not just relying on the skeletal system. Shake it out, switching to the other leg in a second here. Short breaks, shouldn't really get your heart rate going a ton. Again, the goal is that isometric stabilizing muscles that we're trying to load. Might need to adjust, so it's a little bit off there. All right, find that spot and zen in there. You might play with a variety of, whether you're up higher, obviously the lower you go, the more difficult it will be to hold. Try to find a place that's appropriate for you, that challenges you, but is also sustainable. The goal is really not to stop during your 60-second set, but if you do need to step off and give your leg just a second, that's fine. Refer back to this video. Practice makes perfect, even though we'll never really be perfect. There's always more to practice and work on.
10 seconds left. Hang in there.
Get that knee bent.
You're done in 3, 2,
Alrighty,
1.
so we're flipping the BOSU over now.
Single leg BOSU balance.
On the round side. Okay, so the round side is going to challenge more of our balance for sure. It's definitely a step up from what we just did. It's going to challenge more of our foot, ankle, lower leg stability. So you might find right away that you're wobbling quite a bit more. Like I mentioned with the arch, stay on that outside edge. Stay grounded through the outer edge of your foot, your heel, your forefoot, but try to stay off that arch. If you come into your arch, chances are you're gonna lose it. You're gonna lose that good placement of the knee that we're looking for. I'm not trying to make that movement. It's just happening. A lot of skiing lately out here on the west. It's been an awesome winter. More on the way. It's been cold. Awesome skiing. But this is why this is so important, so we can go out there, do what we love, not have to think about balancing. Just let it happen.
10 seconds left. Hang in there. You're done in 3, 2,
All right,
1.
switch legs. So something I noticed there on that set, I started to lean a little bit and compensate. We want excellent posture, shoulders square, hips square, bend in the knee. That was probably a little fatigue in the leg. Well, not probably, it was, I'll be honest. But try to stay square, which is probably gonna come from the core. If you start leaning this way, you're trying to compensate with weight. You need to stay square. Keep that core engaged. Ooh. You are going to have a side that's more difficult for me. It is for sure the left, which makes a lot of sense. Skiing, for example, I'm way more comfortable turning left with my right ski downhill, my stronger leg, than my left. I've never had a major left leg injury, but that's just a sign my brain prefers. Been working on it for a while. Always practicing.
Seconds left. Hang in
This
there.
is our last static stabilizing exercise, and we're going to integrate some plyometrics.
We're done in 3, 2, 1.
Woo, boy. Okay. My legs are feeling it, but in a good way, right? You're not like, oh, I'm fatigued, but they're activated. They're ready to go. Okay. BOSU stabilization hops. I'm going to go this way. So all we're doing, very simple. It might not look like much, but we're working on our jumping mechanics and stabilizing from a dynamic. So we're loading, popping, soft landing on the BOSU, and then you can simply step off. We'll show you some other variety there too. But again, we're loading, jumping, trying to be soft and stable on the BOSU. If you want, you can hop off too and work on balancing there. Load, not doing a big jump. Notice I'm also not hitting with my legs locked. Trying to really stay soft on that landing and hold that landing position for at least 2 or 3 seconds. Hold, nice and square. I want that dot right in between my feet. Step off.
10 seconds left. Hang in there.
Excellent. Couple more. Maybe last one.
Done in 3, 2, 1.
Okay. We're doing some single leg hops now. We're definitely increasing the intensity each exercise here. So we're doing the same thing now on one leg. If you're not comfortable with one leg, continue with the 2 leg or just do the single leg static stabilization. So same thing, load, pop. Definitely more balance required on the landing. And you can simply step off. you can hop off too. I'm just gonna step off today. I'm more so in recovery mode right now. Load, pop. Stabilizing. Make sure you're not too much in the forefoot like I was on the landing. We wanna be square the best we can. Load, pop. Whoop. If that happens, it's okay. It certainly does. Refocus. Nice recovery. Little bend in the knee, ankle. Everything is bent, right? We're not doing this straight-legged, setting yourself up for failure that way. I'm gonna make this my last one here. A little bit of a load. Pop. Calibrate, get that core engaged. Step off, shake it out. Nice job. These are definitely pretty difficult. Wouldn't recommend really trying them on the flat side. You certainly can. Just, I'm not recommending it, so you can't sue me. But bend in the knee, load. Not quite enough hop. This is my weaker leg. Gotta find that center of gravity. Core is real engaged. Nice. Feel free to hold that position for a little bit. Nothing wrong with holding that for more than 2 or 3 seconds until you're totally centered and grounded. I am struggling on this leg today.
You're half done.
Chances are, the reason why I'm struggling, been skiing a lot, been ski touring a lot, all of those lateral structures, like the glutes, the lateral hamstring, lateral quad, I'm feeling them light up right now. Admittedly, when my training intensifies, it can be harder to keep up with the mobility, the foam rolling, the stretching. This is a good reminder, I gotta get back to that. Okay, last one here, super simple. Last exercise, BOSU squats. Really good assessment, dynamic stabilization. We haven't done squats necessarily to warm up, but we're just gonna work range of motion, keep the ball flat, nice and slow, sinking down, back to center, glutes engaged. Hopefully, this should feel pretty easy is kind of the goal after all those other exercises that are a little bit more difficult. Nice and slow. Notice I still got a little bit of wobble in there. Trying to mitigate that the best I can. Also, one thing to look out for in the BOSU squat, try not to tilt the ball too far forward. Stay centered with your feet. Glutes engaged. I just have my hands out for center of gravity. Really, they can go wherever feels comfortable for you. It's just my personal preference. Just make sure you're not over rounding through the thoracic spine.
You're done in 3, 2, 1. Awesome.
Nice work.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, nice work. You should be feeling pretty warmed up and activated with your legs at this point. This is an excellent time to continue on that path. Do a leg workout, work on some lunges, squats. You should feel nice and solid and stabilized, balanced. This is something you could practice multiple days every week if you're really looking to improve your balance. This will help your performance. Trail running, ski touring, trekking, mountaineering, rock climbing, really just living life as we get older. Balance becomes really, really important. Don't overlook the importance of balance training. Come back here to Outdoor Adventure Training, our YouTube channel. Check out our app. Our base camp program has a lot of exercises like this integrated into your daily workouts. And yeah, just keep taking your fitness up to the next level, and we'll see you next time here at Outdoor Adventure Training.